Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leanna Lois. I'm an assistant managing editor here at Education Week. And I'm here with Madeline Will. She's a staff writer who covers teachers and teachers' unions. So as you may have heard, the Supreme Court announced a major ruling this morning. It was the Janus versus the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. They announced it about 10 a.m. this morning, and the ruling has huge impact for all public employee unions, but especially teachers' unions. So we're going to chat about it today. So the case centered on the legality of what are called fair share fees. So in about 22 states, the unions are allowed to charge people who are not members of the union fees. That is no more after this morning. So Maddie's going to talk to us a little bit about, give some background on the case and what it means going forward for the unions. So Maddie, tell us a little bit about, how the case started, who's Mark Janus, and what was he arguing?
Yeah, so Mark Janus is a child support specialist in Illinois, and he was not a union member, but some money from his paycheck every month was going to the union. And that money was supposed to be representing him in collective bargaining, which is the union's process of negotiating for salaries and benefits. But Mark Janus felt like that money, he doesn't agree with the union's political activities. He felt like he shouldn't have to support them at all through any kind of funds. And so the Supreme Court justices agreed with him today and said that these fees are no more.
Talk a little bit about why, what unions say about the fees, what their argument was for charging these fees.
Yeah, so the unions are saying that, look, like we are collective bargaining for all employees, regardless of whether or not you're in the union. So it's only fair that people should have to pay a fee for that service. And they're saying that already those fees were not supposed to be going for political activity. But the argument on Janus's side is that the union is inherently political, and it's a violation of his First Amendment rights to have to pay to support them.
And those fees aren't exactly negligible. Like often it was about 75% of becoming a member, right?
Right. I think in Mark Janus's case, it was something like $500 a year, which is a significant amount.
So this ruling today was actually a little bit broader than a lot of people anticipated. So talk about why, what the Supreme Court justices did that maybe we weren't expecting.
Yeah, so this ruling was a pretty sound defeat for the unions. In addition to saying that agency fees are no more, Justice Alito ruled that unions can have to affirmatively get the consent of workers who want to be a part of the union. So in some states before this, workers who don't want to join the union would have to opt out of the union every year in a time-limited window. And the justices said today that you have to opt in instead of opt out.
And that's quite a big change, right? Yeah, in a lot of places that's a huge change, and we weren't necessarily expecting that. So
no, it's a bit worse for the unions than I think they had been anticipating.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about who's affected by this decision and how they're affected.
Yeah, so in about half the country, these states that did not, or that did permit agency fees, all public unions will be affected in those states, including teachers' unions. Teachers' unions are expecting a loss in membership, which will translate into a loss in revenue. The National Education Association, which is the largest teachers' union, is predicting a 307,000 member loss over 2 years. And that's a conservative estimate, but it's still pretty significant. So we'll have to see what it turns out to be.
That's out of about 3 million members right now, right?
So about 10% of its members.
Yeah, that's a big drop. What's going to happen to the teachers' unions now? What do we think is going to happen?
So I think teachers' unions are saying that they are prepared for this, that they are talking to their members, and they're really putting a focus on re-engaging with their members and urging them to recommit to their unions. They're saying that they're going to pay more attention to what their members want to see happen from the unions. So we'll see how that turns out. And they've been preparing for this for about a year through these recommit campaigns.
Yeah. So this, despite the fact that it was a farther reaching decision than they had anticipated, they kind of knew this was coming, right?
Yeah. They had some backup plans in place.
Yeah. And as we were saying, this isn't a huge surprise this is happening. Talk about what the unions have been doing to get ready for this.
Right, so they've been introducing labor-friendly, or they've been supporting the introduction of labor-friendly legislation across the country. In about half a dozen states, these laws have passed this spring that give unions a bit of a boost in recruiting and retaining members. So, for example, unions are now in a few states can meet with a new teacher right after they're hired, and kind of pitch their services to the new teacher and convince the new teacher to join the union. And so the unions say that gives them an advantage over what they expect will be anti-union messaging.
So the decision happened just a few hours ago, but people are reacting, obviously on social media, but just lots of statements have come our way. What are some of the reactions you've seen so far, both from the unions and union supporters, as well as people on Janus's side?
Yeah, so unions are saying, don't count us out. This is an attack on workers, but we're still the best vehicle that workers have to path to the middle class, is what they're saying. Anti-union opponents are saying that this is a victory for workers' rights and that this gives teachers a chance to decide for themselves whether they want to be in the union, and that they're not compelled to support policies they don't agree with anymore. So quite a range of emotions going on today.
Yeah, if you're just jumping in, I'm here with Madeline Will. She's been covering teachers' unions, and we're talking about the big Supreme Court decision today. Quite a blow to the teachers' unions across the country. All public employee unions are affected, but the unions are really going to feel this. Maddie, as you go forward with your coverage, what do you think you'll continue to cover? What do you expect to see next?
Yeah, so I think we're going to be really looking to see what the effects are of this ruling, like how dramatic the membership declines are, how that affects the unions' budgets, and then what the unions are doing to kind of circumvent those effects. If they really are going to be more in tune with their members, and what that looks like. I know on a national scale, people are now wondering, is this going to the unions are great donors to the Democratic Party. Is this going to hurt Democratic candidates if the unions no longer have the same political influence? So there's a lot of questions right now that we'll keep reporting on.
And Maddie, you'll be attending the union conventions.
Yes.
We've got two big ones coming up, so it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of there. We have both NEA and AFT in July, so we'll look forward to your future coverage on this.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks for being with us.